XYZ Company Case Study. First, our objectives to ensure that the finance office's strategies and processes are appropriately implemented, to deal with workers' pay accurately and on schedule. The next one, to effectively communicate data to the IT office with the ultimate purpose of preventing worker redesign delays. To record sometimes synchronize the advantage members list with the representative and/or retiree list. In B, potential risk scenarios for each objective. There is a risk of designating a single person to control the recording and approval of financial statements. There is a significant risk that a representative will not submit the timesheet in a timely manner and hence will not be paid. There is a chance that crucial mistakes will occur, resulting in duplicate payments to fired employees as well as swings in payments to phantom representatives. There is a possibility of a lack of supporting proofs and conditions to provide the advantage for all the representatives.
So there are 10 risk assessment, and the first one is compliance verification. To reduce legal and regulatory risk, make sure that all applicable laws, rules, policies, and industry standards are followed. Incomplete or inaccurate risk assessment, which leaves possible dangers unnoticed. Misallocation of resources due to inappropriate risk prioritization. Impact is high and the likelihood is moderate. So the second is internal control evaluation. Assess the effectiveness and sufficiency of internal controls in preserving resources, guaranteeing financial reporting accuracy, and fostering operational effectiveness. Failure to adhere the regulations, which may result in fines or harms to one's reputation. Insufficient knowledge or a comprehension of changing regulations, leading to gaps in compliance. The impact is high and the likelihood is moderate. So the third one is internal control, suitability and efficacy. Assess the suitability and efficacy of internal controls in protecting resources, guaranteeing financial reporting accuracy, and fostering operational effectiveness. Inadequate or inefficient internal controls raise the possibility of mistakes, fraud, and inefficiency in operations. Flaws in the implementation or design of the control that results in vulnerabilities and control failures. Impact is high and the likelihood is moderate. So the fourth one is fraud detection and prevention. Determine and reduce the likelihood of fraud, such as asset theft, false financial reporting, and corruption. Inability to spot fraudulent activity which causes losses in money or harms the organization's reputation. Insufficient fraud prevention procedures which permit fraud schemes to remain unnoticed or unaddressed. Impact is high, the likelihood is moderate. So the fifth one is operational efficiency review. To find areas for cost and efficiency, saving improvements, evaluate the efficacy and efficiency of operational process and procedures. Ineffective methods or process that results in mistakes, delays, or extra expenses. Opposition to initiatives for improvement or change which impedes operations optimization efforts. The impact is moderate and the likelihood is moderate. So the sixth is information technology or IT audit. Assess the availability, security, and integrity of data and information systems to protect against cyber attacks and guarantee data privacy. Data breaches or cyber security incidents that jeopardize sensitive information's availability, confidentiality, or integrity. Deficits is in IT security measures, leaving the company vulnerable to threats including malware, illegal access, and system malfunctions. The impact is medium and the likelihood is moderate. So the seventh one is performance audit. Examine how well departments, initiatives, or programs are performing to determine whether goals are being met effectively and efficiently. Inability to reach intended results or goals, pointing to inefficiencies or poor management. Inadequate performance measures or benchmarks make it difficult to effectively evaluate performance. So the impact is moderate and the likelihood is moderate. So the eighth is financial audit. To reassure investors and stakeholders, confirm the veracity and correctness of financial data, especially financial statements. Financial reporting's credibility is weakened by material misstatements or inaccuracies in financial statements. Failure to adhere to auditing standards or accounting standards, which could result in restatements or audit qualifiers. The impact is high and the likelihood is moderate. So the ninth one is risk management oversight. Ensure that risk management procedures such as risk identification, assessment, mitigation, and monitoring are overseen and guided. Inadequate risk management procedures that leave you open to unanticipated dangers or weaknesses. Ineffective risk monitoring and mitigation, which has a negative influence on the organization's goal. So the impact is high and the likelihood is moderate. So the last one is continuous improvement. Encourage a culture of ongoing development by offering suggestions for improving procedures, oversight, and overall performance of the company. Opposition to change or apathy, which hinders attempts to put suggested upgrades into practice. Lack of follow-through on audit recommendations, limiting the realization of potential benefits. The impact is moderate and the likelihood is moderate. So next, as you can see here in payroll matrix, the compliance verification, internal control evaluation, internal control suitability and efficacy, fraud detection and prevention, financial audit, and risk management oversight is in the red part because it is the high risk and it is high in impact and moderate in likelihood. And the remaining four, which is operational efficiency review, information technology audit, performance audit, and continuous improvement are in the orange part because it is not as high risk as the other six, and it is moderate in impact and likelihood.
So, support document risk. Compliance verification, making sure the rules and laws are followed. Next, internal control evaluation. Evaluating how well internal processes work to accomplish organizational goals. And then next, internal control sustainability and efficiency. This evaluates if controls are effective and appropriate for the needs of the organization, much like internal control evaluation does. Next, fraud detection and prevention, recognizing and reducing fraudulent activity. Next, operational efficiency review, evaluating operational processes, productivity, and efficacy. Information technology or IT audit, assessing the efficacy and security of IT controls and systems. Performance audit, this entails assessing the degree to which our organization is accomplishing its goals. Financial audit, the organization's financial health and the accuracy of its financial statement are evaluated via financial audits. Risk management oversight, this entails keeping an eye on and controlling hazards that could affect the company. And last, continuous improvement. This concentrates on continuous attempts to improve organizational processes and procedures. We have here process flowchart. So, first, the employee control, process name, control number entered by an employee. Next is the decision control number is less than 2,700. If yes, then we go to input salaried employee. Next, the process hours worked, minimum wage. Below it is update paycheck. If no, then we have another decision control number is more than 2,700 and less than 4,400. If not, then we input not an employee. If yes, we input hourly, then below it we have another decision. If hours work is equal to 80, if yes, hours work is equal to regular pay. If no, we have another decision. If hours work is more than 80 and less than 100, if yes, then we have hours work than 1.50 regular pay. And next is update paycheck. If no, means if it exceeds 100 hours work times 2 of regular pay. And then, update the paycheck amount. So, as you can see, the shaded part is risk, while the other is control.
So now let's talk about the key performance indicators. First is the organized framework. These key performance indicators emphasize the completions and implementations of necessary arrangement and method to create a well-organized framework for operations. It suggests and focuses on streamlining processes and procedures to enhance overall efficiency and effectiveness. So the second key performance indicators is the workers' record management. These key performance indicators involve consistently updating and adjusting workers' record using various control measures that reflects a commitment to maintaining access and up-to-date employees' data, which is essential for payroll, compliance, and workforce planning purposes. So the third key performance indicators is the financial controls. These key performance indicators indicates that no additional payment beyond regular salaries are made for premium or extra services. It highlights a commitment to financial discipline and cost control within the organization. And lastly, the employee identification. Assigning a control number to every employee, whether hourly or salaried, serves as a unique identifier for tracking and management purposes. It suggests a focus on workforce accountability and monitoring. So now let's move forward to the considered key control. Responsibilities for record keeping, counting, and planning are segregated to prevent fraud and errors. This includes having a finance representatives handle record keeping separately from the finance process, and having an independent person calculate payroll for hourly employees. So next is appointing a finance agent as a manager without personal connections helps ensure impartiality and integrity in financial matters. And next is directors should conduct surprise checks on timesheet to verify accuracy and to prevent fraudulent timesheet. And next is proper procedures should be followed for payment and timesheets related to phantom employees, ensuring that only legitimate employees can compensate it. Next is access control should be implemented in the finance system to revoke access for terminated employees, reducing the risk of unauthorized activities. And next is systems should be in place to alert finance assistant about terminated employees or phantom workers and automatically update records if necessary, ensuring data accuracy and compliance. And lastly is supporting records should be organized chronologically based on employee benefits, facilitating audit trails and compliance with regulatory requirements.
Now, let's move to the G, linking the key controls to identify the risks. Key control risk. This control activity involves monitoring the effectiveness of internal controls and taking corrective action when necessary. The risks are compliance verification, internal control evaluation, internal control suitability and efficacy, fraud detection, and prevention. Key control risk. Regularly evaluating the effectiveness of internal controls and making adjustments as needed.
regularly checking the accuracy and completeness of records and transactions, and maintaining proper documentation for audit trails. The risk is operational efficiency review. Key control risk. This key activity ensures that changes to IT systems and process are made in a controlled and documented manner. This helps to mitigate the risk of errors and unauthorized changes. Restricts access to computer system and data to authorized personnel. The risks are information technology audit and performance audit. Key control risk. Regularly checking the accuracy and completeness of records and transactions and maintaining proper documentation for audit trails. The risks are financial audit, risk management oversight, and continuous improvement.
So, our team provide also the high and control matrix adequacy. There are three types of high and control matrix adequacy. These are the process level risk, K control activity, and this design adequacy. Our process level risk is the compliance verifications to making sure that rules and laws are followed. The consequences of non-compliance are severe since they may result in fines or harm to one's reputation. Despite being moderate, there is a noticeable chance that compliance problems will arise because of how intricate regulatory regimes can be. So our key control of this control activity involves monitoring the effectiveness or internal controls and taking corrective actions which necessary. Our design adequacy of this indicated key control activities are adequate to manipulate the compliance verifications to a tolerable risk. So our second process level risk is internal control evaluation. Evaluating how well internal processes work to accomplish organizational goals. Fraud or mistakes might result from inefficient controls. The high effect implies serious consequences for the stability of the finances. Our operational integrity because there is a chance to control flaws. The likelihood is between moderate and high. And the key control activity of this internal control evaluation is same as the compliance verification. So the design adequacy of the indicated key control activities are adequate to manipulate the internal control evaluations to a tolerable risk. So the third one is the internal control suitability and efficacy. So this evaluates if controls are effective and appropriate to needs to the organization, much like internal control evaluation does. Inadequate security measures may result in weaknesses given the dynamic nature of the company risk. There is a moderate to high possibility of operational disruptions or financial losses with a high impact. So our key control activity of this is same as the compliance verifications and the internal control. And our design adequacy is indicated key control activities are adequate to manipulate the internal control suitability and efficiency to a tolerable risk. So our fourth one is the fraud detections and preventions. Recognizing and reducing fraudulent and activity. Fraud can result in monetary losses as well as reputational harm with a moderate to high likelihood and a high impact. Fraud episodes are severe given the ongoing threat posed by both internal and external actors. So, same as the three above, this key control activity is same as the three above. So, the adequacy control of this to indicate key control activities are adequate to manipulate the fraud detections and preventions to tolerable risk. And the fifth one is the operational efficiency review. Evaluating the operational processes for the activity and efficacy. Missed opportunities or resource waste might result from inefficient processes depending on the degree of inefficiency found. The impact ranges from moderate to high, with a moderate likelihood considering the continuous need for process improvement. So our key control risk of this is regulatory evaluating the effectiveness of internal controls and making adjustments as needed. And the second is regularly checking the accuracy and completeness of records and transactions, and maintaining proper documentations for audit trails. So our adequacy, this indicated key control activities are adequate to manipulate efficiency review to a tolerable risk. So the fifth one is the information technology audit, assessing the efficacy and security of IT controls and systems. Data breaches or operational disruptions may result from IT malfunctions or breaches, with a moderate to high chance because of the constantly changing nature of cyber threats and technical breakthrough. The high effect underscores the crucial role that IT plays in modern enterprises. So our key control of this control activity ensures that changes to IT systems and processes are made in controlled and documented manner. This helps to mitigate the risk of errors and unauthorized changes. Restricts access to computer systems and data authorized personnel. The indicated key control and activities are adequate to manipulate the information technology audit to a tolerable risk. That's our adequacy of this. So, performance audit. This entails assessing the degree to which an organization is accomplishing its goals. A moderate to high impact indicates that organizational effectiveness can be greatly increased by recognizing and resolving performance concerns. Such audits might not always be carried out, but when they are, they can have significant influence according to the moderate chance. So our key control key control of this control activity ensures the changes to IT systems, same as the information technology. Restricts access to computer systems and data authorized there, and our adequacy control adequacy of this indicated key control activities are adequate to manipulate the performance audit to a tolerable risk. So, and the last one is the financial audit. The organization's financial health and the accuracy of its financial statements are evaluated via financial audits. A high impact indicates the possibility of serious repercussions from mistakes or poor financial management. Because financial audits are so important, the moderate to high likelihood suggests that they are carried out frequently. And our key control of this is the regulatory checking the accuracy and completeness of records and transactions and maintaining proper documentations of audit trails. And our control adequacy, these indicate control activities are adequate to manipulate to financial audit to a tolerable risk. Risk management oversight. This entails keeping an eye on and controlling hazards that could affect the company. A high impact suggests that successful risk management is essential to the stability or prosperity of a company. The moderate to high likelihood suggests that risks are routinely evaluated and controlled, demonstrating the significance to this domain. And continuous improvement. This concentrates on continuous organizational processes and procedures. The initiatives for continuous improvement appear to have a moderate to high impact, indicating that they can yield noteworthy advantages, including heightened competitiveness and efficiency, although companies may not. So our risk control adequacy is the indicated key control activities are adequate to manipulate the continuous improvement to a tolerable risk, same as those and the above. So always given is top priority to the moderate likelihood.
Risk and control matrix, testing approaches, results, and conclusions. So for the process level risk and control matrix, this involves identifying and prioritizing potential risk to the organization's objectives, assets, and operations. Corresponding controls are established to mitigate this identified risk. For the testing approach, various evaluation methods are employed, including inquiry, observation, reperformance, and analytical procedures. Substantive testing is performed to directly examine account balances and transactions. Tests of controls are conducted to assess the effectiveness of internal controls in mitigating risk. So, for the result of testing, findings from the testing procedures are reported, highlighting any deficiencies or weaknesses in internal controls. The operating effectiveness of controls is evaluated, and areas for improvement are identified. For the testing conclusion, the overall effectiveness of internal controls in mitigating risk is summarized. Recommendations for enhancing controls are provided based on the findings. And also, assurance is offered to stakeholders regarding the reliability of financial reporting and compliance with regulations. And lastly, by following this structured approach, audit departments can ensure a comprehensive assessment of risk, controls, testing methodologies, and outcomes, leading to informed decision making and continuous improvement within the organization.
As you can see here, we have prepared an engagement memorandum that contained on March 17, 2024 to XYZ company owner from audit engagement team, subject of announcement of assurance engagement memorandum. Dear colleges and stakeholders, we are pleased to announce the initiation of an assurance engagement for our organization. This engagement is a crucial step in demonstrating our commitment to transparency, accuracy, and accountability in our financial reporting and operation. Our engagement purpose is that assurance engagement, also known as audit or review engagement, are conducted by independent third-party professionals who examine and evaluate the financial statements and internal controls of an organization. Their primary objective is to provide reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatements and accurately represent the financial position, performance, and cash flows of the organization.
And that would be all the report for the XYZ company case study. Thanks for watching.